with your host, Dwan B. Intelligent Ish Talk, Intelligent Shit Talk, where we balance the profound with the profane. Political satire, celebrity and expert guests, information and entertainment, conversation and solutions. Leave your feelings at the door.
Hotepish, intelligent ish talk, intelligent shit talk. What's up, run it up? Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear? Can y'all hear the music? I'm having some audio issues today. What up, y'all? What's up, Herb? Can y'all hear the music? I can't hear nothing. We are here. We are here. 1 second. Here we are, here we are, here we are, here. Are the music slapping? Alright, good. I don't know why I can't hear it. Yeah. What's up, G Money? Okay, you can hear both me and the music. Good. Because usually I hear the music, but today I don't. Audio does weird shit like that. What's up, Emmanuel Heath? What's up, Rusty from Philly? We about to get started in a second. We about to get started in 1 second. Gotta drink my water. Yeah, we are here. We are here. We are here live. I will get down to it later. Why? My computer don't want to play no audio for my ass. But we here. B1 from Baltimore paid in full. What's up? What's up, Guru? What's up, Tasha? Is the music lower now? We good on the music now? Because I'm going to need y'all to let me know if y'all can hear me clearly over the music. I turned it down on my end, but I cannot hear the levels. B1 TJB. Gerard, you got notified. That's what's up. YouTube does not like sending out notifications for some reason. Well, we all know the reason why, but you know, I'm just saying. What's up, Mr. Original Thought? Man, I got my t-shirts out right now. I need to get one of these. Y'all need to get one of the t-shirts. Reparations now. Reparations now. Get yours. And also get a copy of my book, No Time to Waste. The book is out now. The link to the book is in the description bar. I want to thank everybody who attended the webinar. I want to thank everyone who attended the webinar. We had a good turnout. Lots of great questions asked. We started on time, ended on time, because I respect people's time. A lot of people bought the book. I appreciate everybody for buying the book. Like, I'm getting a notification on my phone every 10, 15 minutes. Somebody's buying the book. So I appreciate y'all for getting the book, No Time to Waste, a self-motivation guidebook. Self-motivating. How to get motivated to and through you. Big Herv in it. It's good seeing Hervé Malone in the chat room. Leadership. That's my boy right there. That's my dog right there, Herv. Me and Herv used to be in a group chat with some people who shall not be named. And that shit was funny every day. Herv used to play what? You used to play D3, D2 ball, didn't you, Herv? Yeah, Herv played some college ball, college basketball. I'm with you, Kenneth. You know, I love basketball and some football, but I don't watch as much as I used to. But I want to break it down because we all see what's going on in sports. We all see what it is. You know, the gentrification of sports. It's happening right in front of our eyes. It's nothing new. Yeah, Hervey, he played D2. We used to clown her for playing D2 basketball. Her nickname used to be D2. Because there was some other cats in that group chat that thought they was a little better because they played D1 in the NBA. But like, we used to get on Herv's ass for playing D2. Herv used to also coach with me. Like, a lot of people really be thinking I'm just some random fat nigga. Herv will tell you. I forgot that we used to actually coach on the same squad together for about one season. Herv used to come down. Hervé Malone used to come down to practice with our high school and middle school AAU team in triple gold Dayton's. He used to come down to practice and come to games. Coach Herv in the triple gold Dayton's. That used to be funny as hell. But yeah, for me, I got to this point. You know me, I don't care about sports the way I used to care about sports. And it's been a process. I used to be the biggest sports fan. And I still love sports. But I have a different relationship with sports than I used to have. Because I got to see how much work it took. And I talked about this a little bit on my Q&A last night. I got to see how much work it took to be successful in college and make the NBA. And then once you make the NBA, I got to see up close and personal what it took to stay in the NBA. And the level of work and work ethic it takes to commit to a sport. And I oftentimes wondered, okay, if we took this same work and work ethic and applied it to, say, the tech field, coding, it takes 6 to 10 hours a day of work. It takes a huge commitment. 6 to 10 hours a day of work to play NBA basketball. And I was thinking, what if kids took 6 to 10 hours a day and applied that to coding, applied that to engineering, applied that to, hell, being an electrician? How much more money would they make over a lifetime than in the sport? That's what started to separate me from my love for sports. We have 81 people in here, 29 likes. I need to get them likes up, please. Share. Please get the likes up and share. Because we usually get about 250 in the chat room, 250, 300 when YouTube ain't tripping on the algorithm. So anytime we below 250, 300, that lets you know YouTube ain't sending out notifications. So I need you guys to share. Got another purchase on the book. Appreciate that. A day. I appreciate that. You're right. Apply it to agriculture. Apply it to STEM. Apply it to a lot of those things. So I think overall, I think the gentrification of sports isn't a bad thing. Because black people care too much about sports. We get too emotionally invested and heavy into sports. So it's like, okay, if we don't want to walk our way out, I don't mind them pushing us out. Go right ahead. Hood news in the building. Hassan Hayes, my dog right there. Great filmmaker. Great filmmaker. Thanks for joining me, my brother. But when it comes to sports, we see it happening right now in the NBA and the NFL. What's up, Lady Hotep? When you see sports, you see it happening in football right now. There are people. I didn't watch no draft. I was actually in the sports in a sports restaurant while the draft was going on. So I did see I did look up and see a little bit of it while me and my wife were eating, and I saw Roger Goodell sitting in some damn recliner seat. What the fuck is this? But it's like it seemed like everyone they were drafting last name was Ubekwe or Nkizi or some Igbo or Nigerian name. No disrespect to my Igbos and my Nigerians. No disrespect to y'all. But it was a lot of Africans being picked. And I was like, okay, yeah, I see exactly what they doing. Like in the NBA. The NBA, look at what the NBA's been doing. They've been putting a lot of money in Europe and European basketball. Now the NBA has recently decided to set up a minor league system in Africa. They telling you directly, like, look, we tired of these guys trickling over here. We gonna create some black talent from over there and bring it over. Somebody said, "Me too," and time's up is speeding up the gentrification of sports. That's a good point. That's a good point. But we see it. We see it happening right now. And in the NBA, you saw who the MVP was the last 2 years. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Somehow he won MVP. He has more MVPs than Shaq and Kobe. And this is a dude that can't make a 15-foot jump shot to save his life. How he gets MVP twice in a row, I don't know. Then they gave him Defensive Player of the Year, and he had half of the blocks as Anthony Davis. American Foundation of Black American Anthony Davis led the league in block shots, was the best defender. The Lakers went from worst to first defensively. The year before did not make the playoffs with LeBron James, mind you, didn't make the playoffs. Anthony Davis comes, makes the Lakers the best defensive team in basketball, and the African gets the award. Same thing with Steve Nash before, Dirk Nowitzki, and those guys. That's because the NBA, it's awarding the population they want to dominate the NBA. That's what they're doing. I'm not into who players marry. One thing about me, I don't get into who people marry. I don't. I see it, but I don't spend too much time on it. Number one, because I ain't the one fucking them. The chick. Number two, you have, yeah, they marry white women, but hell, I know some players married to black women, and the black women they married to is just as big of a coon as the white women that these players be marrying. Sports is coon central. It's coon central. So I expect players to tap dance. Look, I'm gonna get into how they separate it, and then we you know me, I like to lay the foundation and then bring the story back all the way around. And I've said this before on this show about how sports is operated. I'll do a quick synopsis, and y'all go back on previous sports broadcasts to get the full breakdown of how this works. But by the time of 14, 15, your top blue chip athletes are segregated and separated from their environment. They see that this kid is good at the sport, so they take them from their local high school district and put them in either a Catholic school or some sort of school that's private and usually all white with a lot of money. And they take these athletes to these segregated environments, pump their heads up full of nonsense, telling them you're over here in this better school because you're better than the rest of the Negroes you hang around. Then by the time they get to college, they're further segregated, not allowed to basically mingle with the general population. They only mingle with one another and wealthy white people who basically put money in their pockets under the table. And they're told even more, you're different from the rest of the Negroes. And one thing about biology, going back to high school, men, boys, girls are generally attracted to the population that they're around when their nuts drop. Basically, by the time you get to puberty, whatever color, whatever look the girls are when you hit puberty, that's generally the kind of girl you're going to want to end up with, especially if you don't have a strong home foundation, which a lot of these athletes don't have. A lot of them already don't respect their mothers or fathers. Oftentimes, especially the one in the NBA looks for people like that in these messed up environments. Because I'm telling you something, when it comes to AAU basketball in college, when there's a strong father presence, that player better be very good. Because if he's a borderline player, that strong father presence will not get that player taken along further. If they have a choice between picking, if the players are two players on the same level, one with a strong father presence, one without that strong father presence, where the coach is the kid's father, they're going to pick the one who the coach is the kid's father because he's more easily controlled and manipulated. So you have to understand, by the time a player makes it in the NBA, most of them have already been vetted for coonery. And the only ones who transcend above that are just your exceptional talents, like your Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is exceptional. So they have to deal with his shit and his dad and all that stuff because he's so exceptional. Kobe was so exceptional, they had to deal with him and his father. But if they have a choice between an athlete with his head on straight and an athlete that's wayward, trying to find his way, they're going to choose the one that's wayward and try to find their way. Makes the players easier to control. So that's what undergirds the NBA. That's what goes into the NBA. I said, pay me, plug the book. The book, I've already plugged the book, but hell, if you want the book, the link is in my Linktree description box. No time to waste. A self-motivation guidebook. How to get off your ass today and do what the hell you want to do in life. Get the book. Or get the full webinar and go back and listen to it in your car. It's bonus materials with the full webinar if you weren't able to make it live. I have bonus materials in that webinar that's going to help you, assist you along with the book. And for those who do buy the webinar, it's bonus materials. But back to what we're talking about when it comes to sports. Sports is a thing. It's a full environment where the best of our boys are being segregated and taken away out of our community and taught to basically be grown-ass men. Because think about it. What do you do with sports? You play sports. Who plays? Children play. So basically, when it comes to sports, you got a whole bunch of grown-up baby boys running up and down the court, very good at what they do. Now society turns them on us and say, hey, you idiots are now the spokespeople and representatives of black society. LeBron James goes say something in a statement that we already pre-approved. That's how it works. You don't even want to deal with an athlete when it comes to athletes. I don't want to be disrespectful, but they really don't know shit. And it's not really their fault. It's just that when it comes to social issues, they don't really have time. That's just the truth about it. You get some that get wiser later on in their careers, but athletes don't have the time. Let me tell you let me just give you the day of an NBA player. I'm gonna give you the day before, an off day and the game day. On an off day during the season, they usually travel on off days. You travel from the previous city you're in to the next city. Mind you, the game the night before ended, and you didn't leave the arena till 11, and he probably went to the club afterwards. Wake up the next morning, 6, 7 in the morning, you're on a plane to the next city. Get to the next city, 1, 2 o'clock. You check in your hotel room, and you may have some time to yourself for a little while. You eat dinner. You're 23-year-old millionaire. So, question: you're 23-year-old millionaire. Are you going to, after dinner, are you going to go back to your hotel room and read the Wall Street Journal, read the New York Times, get online and find out what's going on in the world? Or are you going to call over a chick that lives in that city that you mess with and do the woompty whamps? And then when you finish doing the woompty whamps with her, what you going to do? Are you going to stay in and pray, or are you going to go to a nightclub? Probably going to go to a nightclub. Go to the nightclub, probably get another chick to do the woompty whamps with. And then you have 10 a.m. shoot around the next day, because you have a game the next day. 10 a.m. shoot around. Shoot around's over at 1. Back to your room to take a nap. Then you have a game. You get to the arena for a 7 o'clock game. You get to the arena about 4:30 or 5. Play the game and you out. So I'm saying all that to say athletes really don't have the time to really get to know much about anything. But after every game, they're putting a microphone in front of these players' hands, telling them to speak about what's going on in society. And then the rest of us get mad because the athlete said a whole bunch of bullshit that we know he needs to be, if he's going to talk, say a little more. But even if he wanted to, he can't, because before he got that interview, his publicist already told him what issues to say and not say. I'm sorry, not his, but the team publicist. The team has a publicist. And the team publicist is a person that gives players directives on what can and can't be said. So all this goes into sports. No, I don't expect a 25-year-old man with millions of dollars to be the most socially aware. Hell, most 25-year-olds with no money aren't socially aware. So that's what goes into it. And so we get what we get. No, Rod J, they do not have the offseason to learn. They do not have the offseason to learn, because you know what happens during the offseason? They're trying to make the next team. It's only 2 to 3 players. It's only 2 to 3 players that have guaranteed contracts on a team that gives them enough money to retire on. 2, maybe 3 players on a team, usually 2. The other 10 guys are on 1-2-year contracts. And there's 10,000 new people every year entering the NBA draft to take your job. So during the offseason, a player wakes up and you're going to get a workout in, usually in the morning. You get a little time off, and then you get back to the gym for your second. And usually how it works is players usually about 11 in the morning. That's when they're doing their strength and conditioning. Maybe some footwork drills, shooting. If you want to stay in the NBA, especially as a guard, you got to put up at least 1,000 shots a day. What's up, Matthew Moore in the chat room? I got to have Matthew back on the show. Salute to you. But you're going to put up at least 1,000 jump shots a day if you're in the NBA. If you're on Dirk Nowitzki's level, if you're on Steph Curry's level, if you're on Kobe's level, you're probably going to put up 2,000 to 3,000 jump shots a day. And then after you put up your shots, you now have open run. Here in LA, open runs at UCLA. Open run at UCLA usually starts, players are getting to the gym about 2. Open run usually starts at about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And it goes till about 5 or 6. And players are running. That's where I've been in open run at UCLA. I mean, I've been there certain days. I remember I was there today. It was one day I was there. It was Kevin Garnett, Amari Stoudemire was there. Kobe came through. It was Baron Davis, Emeka Okafor, Russell Westbrook when he was a rookie. Russell Westbrook was a rookie. We didn't know how good he was going to be. I mean, then you had Chris Bosh came through that day. And this is a typical day. Carmelo Anthony was there. And this is open run during the season. You do your open run. And then after open run, you still have another training to do. Usually is a skill position training. So an NBA player's day, like I said before, is 6 to 10 hours a day during the off season. What you gonna do when you done with all that? The little bit of energy a 25-year-old, 27-year-old has left, probably gonna go back to the house or go back to the room, smash something. Oftentimes they have kids by now, and contrary to popular opinion, most players do love their kids and spend time with their kids. What time do they have to inform us on anything happening socially? What time do they have? See, you have to be intellectually lazy to expect other people to do what you need to do. Social issues is something all Black Americans, especially Black Americans, must take it upon themselves to address. You can't depend on someone who's paid by a very racist owner. And on top of that, one thing about the NBA, you get to speaking too much, you won't have a job. Ask Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Ask Craig Hodges. NBA don't play that. You've been bred to run, jump your whole life. Now you here, you got a bunch of regular people with regular jobs expecting you to now become their champion and hero for everything going on in life. Not happening. And it's not reasonable for you and I to expect that. It's not reasonable. You don't put leadership of a society on the shoulders of a 25-year-old when you're 40, when you're 50. Why would a 50-year-old, 37-year-old, 32-year-old want a 22-year-old, 26-year-old who's been running and jumping his whole life to speak for him? That's my question. That's my question. Why would you even want them to speak for you? They're giving the microphone to speak because the media knows these cats don't have time to learn what's going on. And if they do take time to learn what's going on, and the publicist for the team says don't say that, then guess what? They can't say it. You end up getting blackballed out the NBA if you talk too much. Hell, ask Rajon Rondo. Part of the reason why Rajon Rondo did not make the Olympic team back in 2008 when he was coming off the championship with the Celtics was because Rajon Rondo is his own man. He wasn't going to play the game. Carmelo Anthony is his own man. Look what happened to Carmelo. Look at what happened to Carmelo Anthony. They convinced people who watch basketball that Carmelo was done 2 seasons ago. They blackballed Carmelo. Why did they blackball Carmelo? Well, he was the one that was pushing for more pay for the G League. He was the one pushing for more pay for the WNBA. He was the one taking his money and buying houses, was in the Guinness Book of World Record 3 years in a row for the highest percentage of income donated to charitable causes. What did that get Carmelo Anthony? Oh, he's a bad player. Oh, he doesn't get along with his teammates. Even though all of his former teammates said he was a great teammate, the news and the media was like, oh, he's not a good teammate. And that man was out of basketball for a season. And most people who claim to love basketball were like, man, he dumb. That's because most of these niggas that watch sports don't know what the hell they looking for. They just believe everything ESPN says. So it's super easy to tarnish the image of a player because most people who watch sports don't know what the hell they looking at. They depend on ESPN and Fox Sports to tell them. So when you depend on ESPN and Fox Sports to control the narrative, they can tell you anything they want about a player and you're going to believe it. That's why we're talking about now the gentrification of sports. Why I think it's probably a good thing that sports is being gentrified from black people. Because black people have a tough time balancing sports and life. You see it all the time. Y'all see me. If y'all follow me on Instagram, whatever, I be trolling the shit out of LeBron James fans. Not LeBron James himself. His fans. Because a LeBron James fan, they're the worst offenders of all what we're talking about. These niggas is caught up in a weird ass fantasy land. These bronsexuals, I mean, it don't matter what being said. These niggas is gonna believe whatever. And you see these grown ass men. Look, just pay attention when you go around society. You see men, the warrior class of black society, dig 10 toes down and go hard, way harder for LeBron James than we do our own human rights as a people. You get a group of 5 dudes together, it's going to be more talk about what happened in the game what some sports athletes said or should have said or didn't do, and absolutely no talk about what your black ass is gonna do. That's the problem we have with sports. Got a whole bunch of men running their mouth, talking shit. Man, LeBron James, I like him, man. He had good stats. They do all that talking about stats. Nigga, you failed algebra 2. Matter of fact, you didn't even take statistics in school. But you want to become a mathematician when it comes to sports. Man, LeBron James, he had 17 assists, and he's a good father. Well, nigga, are you a good father? You gotta be grown ass man. Well, I like him because he's a good example to all of us. Well, nigga, why don't you be the example? Why are you looking at LeBron James to be the example? Oh shit! Somebody just bought the course. My appreciate that. Somebody just bought my webinar for my book. I appreciate that. I've been buying this book like crazy. Man, keep buying it. It's information that's gonna help you. But back to what I was talking about. You have too many men looking for athletes to be the change you need to be. Whatever changes you want to see in life, that's upon you to embody those changes, not wait on Kevin Durant to do it. Whatever problems, whatever solutions need to happen in life, that's on you to do it, not Steph Curry. And black men, unfortunately, over the last 50 years, we've abdicated our responsibility individually and backed away from it. And we've given that responsibility to athletes. Montclair said that LeBron fans are worse than Eminem fans. You right about that? I don't think it's a problem when I see grown men wearing sports jerseys and ball caps. It's not about what you wear. It's not about what's on your head. It's about what's in it. It's not what's on your head. It's what's in it. You can wear whatever you want to wear. What's in your head is what matters. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I still wear my Jordans. If I don't have somewhere business to go, man, I'm in Jordans, shorts, and a t-shirt. If it's cold, Jordans, sweats, and a t-shirt. I got my green Mambas, which I'm not going to wear because them hoes are going to be worth a few grand in the next couple years. I just custom designed some Nike IDs, some Air Maxes with my name on them. It ain't about what you wear. It's about what's in it. We get too silly about sports. We get what black men overall, and I'm putting this on us because, you know, I talk about the black women when I need to, but this one here is squarely on us because the black women aren't doing this. This is on us as men. We take sports too serious. You're right, Magnetic. Brooks Brothers is a suit, just another jersey. You cannot judge a book by its cover. Herb said you still wear your FUBU jersey. You can wear whatever you want to wear. As a matter of fact, and I've talked about this before. You're right, KP. Cats cannot discuss sports without being more subjective. That's my dog, KP. What up, brother? Good to see you in the chat room. KP was there for my first day on stage in comedy. I'm gonna hit you up next time I have a barbecue, KP. KP always got that good weed on him. But yeah, like when it comes to sports, I mean, but that's why you don't judge a book by its cover. Because I said this before. A 3-piece suit is the uniform of a thief. Let me say that again. The 3-piece suit is the uniform of thievery, of deception, of lies. Think about it. Anytime you've been deceived usually on a big level, what was the person wearing? What were they wearing when they put your mama in that home loan that they knew was going to adjust the interest rate in 2 or 3 years and make it unaffordable for her to continue paying? The person that put your mom in that loan was probably wearing a 3-piece suit. Who was the person that sat behind a pulpit and told you a bunch of lies about who God is and what you should really do in life? That person was probably in a 3-piece suit. If you've ever been sued, what was a lawyer that was lying on with every word about what you did? What was that lawyer wearing? A 3-piece suit. So let's not too much get into uniforms here. What do people wear on Wall Street when they go to short sale companies and send thousands of people into unemployment? They're wearing a 3-piece suit, not a Knicks jersey. We got to get rid of the cliches, people. You know, I had that talk last week about cliches. What? If you want to get fucked over, it's probably going to happen by someone wearing a suit. A 3-piece suit. And usually the better and more cleaner the suit, the more you about to be deceived. Steve Harvey told you women, gave y'all all kinds of messed up relationship advice in a 3-piece suit. They're all costumes. You're right, Lorenzo. Sports is a distraction. That's why I'm saying us being gentrified out of sports is not a bad thing. I'm not doing this broadcast to say what we need to do to stop it. I'm saying shit, let them keep doing it. Go right ahead. Let's break it down even further. People say, oh, basketball can't be gentrified. Black people run the NBA. Black people run football. Okay. Well, did you know 120 years ago, black people also ran hockey? You're right, Lorenzo. Hitler killed millions wearing Hugo Boss. You're right about that. Black people controlled hockey. The slapstick, the slap shot, I said slapstick. The slap shot, that shot in hockey where they're like way away from the goal. That motherfucker winds back and slaps the puck into the net from 40 feet away. The slap shot, invented by a black man. The original goalie was black people, black men. Hockey was a black sport 120 years ago until they gentrified and took it. I will, man. I'm going to get to how they're trying hard to replace us in basketball. I'm going to get there. Because in hockey, we controlled that sport. The reason why they brought fighting into hockey was to control the black people. The white players can fight. The black hockey players couldn't fight back. And that's where fighting comes from in hockey. What's up, Knockout Noda? Appreciate you for joining the chat room. What's another sport that black people were gentrified out of? Horse racing. I was watching the Kentucky Derby this past Saturday. The winner was Medina Spirit, trained by Bob Baffert. Usually when I bet on horse racing, I bet on whoever Bob Baffert's training. That motherfucker be. Now he's had 7 different horses win the Kentucky Derby. And he looks like Ric Flair. But horse jockeys, were black. Black men dominated horse racing. Your horse jockeys were black. When hockey was at its all-time best, when horse racing had its all-time biggest crowds at its prime, the jockeys were black. Black folks got gentrified out of that. Baseball. And I saw a real sports documentary on this years ago. Baseball was at its height in the 1980s. What was going on in the 1980s? In the 1980s was when baseball also had the most black players it ever had. Baseball used to be a black sport. Darryl Strawberry, Gary Sheffield, Doc Gooden. So baseball said these niggas is now getting too powerful, demanding too much money. So we're going to open up camps in the Dominican and Cuba, in South America, so we can get our Negroes from a more cooperative place. It's the reason why they went to the Dominican. All that internal strife that Dominicans suffer from. I'm not black. I'm Dominican. I'm not black. My family European. I'm not black. Nigga looking like the back of this screen right here talking about I'm not black. Got cats running around looking like Bushwick Bill talking about they ain't black. Nigga, how you gonna say you ain't black and you got Biggie Smalls lips? The fuck out my face. But they go to the Dominican because you got a docile people who are going to take whatever money the baseball throws their way and not say or do anything about it and follow directions real well. Because I'm not black. Meanwhile, you got to deal with a black dude. He going to be, hey, I need you to, no, fuck you, pay me. So Ricky Henderson, yep. So they gentrified black people out of baseball, and baseball has gone down. And you notice every sport that they took black people out of, no one watches anymore. No one cares about. Nobody cares about baseball. Nobody really cares about horse racing. People definitely don't give a fuck about hockey. America's two biggest sports are basketball and football, because those are the two sports that foundational black Americans dominate. So now they're trying to gentrify black people out of basketball. And that's what the whole giving Giannis multiple MVPs is about. Saying Luke is the greatest when Trae Young is just as fucking good, doing just as much. Got Atlanta in the playoffs, fifth seed so far. 6 inches shorter than Luka. Just as dominant, but they act like Trae Young don't exist. Probably because he looks like one of the DeBarges. Trae Young DeBarge. And you're right, the NFL has lost a lot of its glister because the NFL has been replacing a lot of Jacksons with Ibunus. The NFL is replacing Devontae Freeman with Uncheku Ungatu. The NFL is replacing Michael Wilson with Ogechi Undangu. The NBA is replacing brothers with Africans and Europeans so fast. And this is how they get it. This is how they do it in the NBA. And Matthew Marr tell you in the chat room, y'all need to follow Matthew Marr on his YouTube channel. He's the draft review. He's the ultimate guide on NBA history and NBA drafts. If you want to know some NBA history and want some NBA in context, follow Matthew Marr in the chat room. This dude's a for real basketball historian. But what they do in the end. See, this is how the NBA works. You only got about, in the NBA at any time, out of the 400 some odd players in the NBA, it's really only 20 to 30 players, maybe 40, who are irreplaceable. There's only a few players it's only a handful of players who are irreplaceable. The top third. When you get to that bottom third of players, about bottom 2/3, all of them are replaceable with people who aren't in the NBA. It's a fine line between being a starter, being the fourth best player on a team, which means you're probably starting. It's a fine line between that guy and the person who's playing in the G League coming up, or someone playing over or a Black American playing over in Europe. It's a very fine line between those two players. So what they do is, on the lower level of players, those players are usually drafted and placed politically. Do you shut your mouth? Do you follow the program? Do you do what's told? That's the difference between your fifth best starter in the NBA and the guy you never heard of, or that guy you watched play in college, but he's been playing over in Europe for the last 3 or 4 seasons. That's usually the difference between those two players. So going back to people talking about why don't athletes speak up? Because you literally won't have a job if you do. Appreciate that, Malik. What's up, Toy, in the chat room? Dr. Sinister. They have to conform to keep their jobs. And then we come back and say, well, players need their own league. Like I said before, if a league is to be started for the players, that league is to be started by us, not by the players. Players play, owners own. You can't do both at the same time. You're in your athletic prime from 18 to 28, 30. You got 12 years in your prime to do it. Because after 30, that's when the injuries start mounting up. That's when you got to start watching it. You got a handful of years you can play. Show me a 25-year-old owner of any team, any color. White people have all the advantages that they need. Show me the white baseball player, the white hockey player that at 24, 25 years old have the wherewithal to start a league. And that's someone with all the connections. If a league is to be started, it's to be started by the people. We start the deal. You start the deal. You get the endorsement deals. You get the sponsors. You rent you build the arenas. And then you invite the players to come play. That's how it's done. Black people saying players should start their own league, that's just passing the buck. That's just cliche. It sounds good. It sounds really good, but it's not realistic at all. At all. If a league is to be started, that league is to be started by our black business class, not our black athletes. So if you're not part of the black business class willing to start a league, sit down and rest that cliche about what they need to do. You need to do it. Yeah, Jeremy Lin is trash. He's still in the NBA because of his race. The NBA invites Asians and non-black Americans to stay far past their usefulness. Hell, you get a lot of people, especially from China. When you see a lot of these Chinese basketball players, they get signed just because of the market in China. And it's a black player who is probably 3 or 4 times better who doesn't get the job. See, when it comes to sports has been a very, very, very big distraction. Oh, somebody calling me. I got an apartment for rent right now. My phone is ringing off the hook. God damn, I hate having vacancies. Phone does not stop ringing. Well, anyway. Black people are being, black Americans, foundational black Americans, ADOS if you want to call them that, DOAS, whatever you want to call them, the black Americans who descend from the slave fields of North America, whose ancestral lineage goes back to before there was an America. They built the America that we now see. That group of people is being gentrified out of sports. And here's what I have to say to that. Good. Good, good, good. Ever since I've been part of sports and really up close with it and seeing what it is, I see the harm that we as a people, especially black male society, has allowed sports to hurt us. We're losing our best and brightest to a dead pig. Football. We're losing our best and brightest to basketball. And don't give me nothing about height and size either. Do you guys know that Granville T. Woods, the inventor of the telegraph, the inventor of the train communication system, which led to the invention of the roller coaster, Granville T. Woods was 7 feet tall. If Granville T. Woods lived today, we probably wouldn't have the telegraph. We probably wouldn't have the roller coaster or any of the litany of inventions that he's come up with, because during his childhood socialization, all of the black adults would have been telling him, "You tall. You need to pick up a basketball." And if he was tall and not good, what would we have been saying as a people? Man, that tall nigga's a waste of height. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna say I'm better than y'all. I'd have been saying the same thing in my 20s, in my early 30s. There was one dude that used to come to the gym to hoop. He was like 6'10". I used to be like, nigga, you is a waste of sperm. How you gonna be 6 feet tall and can't hoop? I used to be a part of that. Then I found out Granville T. Woods was 7 feet tall. But he grew up in an era where the adults weren't pushing him to sports. He got to cultivate his mind, cultivate his brain. Black Americans, we are the dopest inventors on earth. Let me say that one more time. We are the dopest inventors on earth. Oh, Dwan, how can you say that? Everybody's good at something. Yeah, everybody's good at something. But who invented the elevator? Black Americans. Who invented the air conditioner? A black American. Who invented the refrigerator? A black American. Who invented the light bulb? The black American. Who invented the telephone? A black American. Who made the best cars at the time of Ford? The DeRay brothers, Black Americans. Who did Henry Ford go to when he wanted to mass produce cars? A Black American, George Washington Carver. Who did America go to when it needed to win World War II? Because Germany knocked out all of its supply lines to all rubber in Europe. A Black American, George Washington Carver, who said, okay, since they knocked out natural rubber, I'll invent a substance called soy that can replace what you're looking for and put that in tires, and we can go ahead and win the war. Where did America go when it started doing chemical warfare? A Black American to invent the gas mask. We're a highly, highly, highly intelligent people. And as dominant as Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, LeBron James, Shaq, Kareem, as dominant as those black men were relative to their white competition on the basketball court, it's how dominant black Americans are relative to our white and non-black competition in the court of education also. The same way Jeremy Lin cannot fuck with Kyrie Irving on the basketball court, Zhang Zhu Chao can't fuck with Deontay Wilson in school if Deontay Wilson is given a proper education. Can't fuck with us. Cannot fuck with us. I appreciate that. I got a cash app from EA Williams, man. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate the cash app. And then when we're not inventing things, objects, we invent whole new genres of music. See, the reason why they're still trying to gentrify us now is because black people, I'm going to get on Discord soon. Someone said they were on Discord. I'm going to get on Discord. I'm going to have a Discord group coming pretty soon. Black people, black Americans were supposed to be taken out 100 years ago. Do you know that? The same way they killed off the Tasmanians. Look up Truganini. Truganini was the last living Tasmanian. The same way they wiped off Truganini and the Tasmanians. The same way they wiped out the indigenous black people in Argentina during the 1800s and Peru. The same way they wiped a lot of the Tainos and original black people out of the island, the Caribbean islands. That was supposed to be us. After Reconstruction, when America, after Reconstruction, when black people put America back together, they had the Immigration Act that brought millions of European immigrants to the United States. Then they created whites-only unions to where only people who were classified as white or ethnic, because the Germans, I'm not the Germans, but the Greeks and the Italians and the Irish, they weren't considered white yet. They were considered ethnic. They created unions for only them to get jobs, so we couldn't have any. They basically, all of our small towns, they cut off the trade routes, and there was no opportunity for black people in small towns, so black people had to migrate to the north and to the west to major cities to look for jobs. Here was a problem. Black people weren't qualified to work most of the jobs. So the whole point was to get us to the big city, castrate us economically, and kill us off. But what did we do? We invented jazz. Gospel was already around. Ragtime was the sound of the turn of the century. Go watch those documentaries anytime in the early 19th century or 20th century. They're playing ragtime music. Ragtime was ours. Scott Joplin. That was our music. And then we took ragtime and started improvising on top of it. And that's where jazz was birthed. So during the 1920s, when black people aren't supposed to have enough money to feed ourselves, we create a form of music called jazz. And when we're not supposed to have enough money to pay rent, what did we do? We started rent parties. We're going to do a rent party at the house on Friday. Everybody got to pay a quarter to get in, 20 cents to get in, 50 cents to get in. By the time everyone gets in, rent's paid for the month. We invented a whole sound that the world took, which employed a lot of, because I realized jazz employed a lot of musicians, especially during the 30s and 40s when as you go into the big band era. The band era, Chick Webb, Count Basie, Count Basie, my favorite of all time, Duke Ellington. They're employing 20 and 30 black people at one time in their bands, in their orchestras. So we created a sound that the world fiended for, and it gave us a lifeline. And then when jazz started to go dead, we created rock and roll, which gave the world a sound that they fiended for, which employed more black Americans. White folks gentrified rock and roll. Then we said, all right. And then we created hip hop. Another sound that the world couldn't get enough of, that they're now in the middle of trying to gentrify. I'm not worried about it because history shows that whatever they try to take, we create something new. The difference between us and them and everyone else is they need to follow what's being put out there. We are the ones putting what's out there that needs to be followed. So no, I'm not worried about black Americans being gentrified out of sports. Because sports hasn't done anything for us. Yes, sports created a few individual millionaires. That's great. But sports hasn't created as many millionaires as business has. There are far more black business millionaires than there are sports millionaires. Look it up. There are far more black business millionaires than there are black sports millionaires. So if we get gentrified out of sports, what's left for us to do? Do for self. And every time we do for self, we do better. And we're more prosperous. You say you like Benny. Yeah, you see what they did with Benny Goodman and jazz? They like the title Benny Goodman and King of Swing. No, the fuck he wasn't. There was a battle at the Savoy in I forgot the year. I don't even want to get to lying on the year. But there was Chick Webb used to hold a battle of the bands once a year at the Savoy Ballroom, where different bands would have to come in and compete against his band for the king of swing. And Benny Goodman took his band down to Chick Webb's to the Savoy, and Chick Webb waxed Benny Goodman's white ass from pillar to post. But you know, white folks are bold. Even though they'll on one hand admit that Chick Webb waxed Benny Goodman, they'll still say Benny Goodman is the king of swing because I'm white and I say so. So you can't listen to what they say. They're gonna say whatever the hell they want to say. They're the biggest liars on earth. They're gonna lie all the goddamn time. Don't let their lies dictate your movements. According to Benny Goodman himself, he was waxed by Chick Webb in that battle. According to every single person in Benny Goodman's band, Chick Webb waxed the shit out of Benny Goodman. But white folks still say Benny Goodman's the king of swing. He could not outswing Ellington. He definitely couldn't outswing Basie. And then when Basie got Quincy Jones as his music conductor, that's when Basie's band went to another level. Wrote and played on Frank Sinatra's biggest hits. See, one thing I loved about Count Basie wasn't like a lot of these niggas now. It was the same shit back then. The way they get Timbaland and Pharrell to produce tracks for Robin Thicke and these white folks, because these white folks' best music comes from black producers, because it's the producer at the end of the day that's really putting the song together. The singer's just delivering it. The producer has more to do with the hit than the singer most of the time. Frank Sinatra went and teamed with Count Basie in the Count Basie Orchestra, with Quincy Jones as the lead. And that's what made Frank Sinatra as big as he got. It was that Basie era that made Frank Sinatra the Frank Sinatra that we all know. Cool thing I liked about Basie didn't play in the background. Go back and look at those albums. Basie's face was on the album covers right next to Frank Sinatra. Basie didn't play that we about to come in the back door shit. Basie didn't play that, okay, I'm going to put the white dude on the cover. Basie didn't play that. Basie put his own name on the album cover. He put his own picture on the album cover. That's one thing I loved about Count Basie. Look, black folks, if you gonna work with them, you better take your credit. Don't wait for them to give it to you. You better follow what Count Basie did and take your credit. This is what Count Basie did. Shit, one of my favorite songs is Fly Me to the Moon, Let Me Play Amongst the Stars. That's that Basie band. The theme from Mondo. This is what Basie did with Frank Sinatra. No. I'm going to be right here, goddammit. The best is yet to come. Yeah. Basie did it right. He's my all-time favorite when it comes to that band era. Nobody can swing like Count Basie. See, whenever we've been backed against the wall, we've always invented some dope shit. The problem with black people has been this. We invent it, we create it, but we give it away, and we don't profit off of it to the level we should profit off of it. We don't profit to the level we should profit. Hell yeah, Count Basie is underrated because of racist. The reason why Count Basie is underrated also, when Count Basie played Vegas, Count Basie didn't do that we walking in the back door shit. Count Basie walked in the front door. They always want to reframe it and say it was Sinatra that took a stand. And Sinatra did stand, but Sinatra didn't have no choice but to take a stand because Count Basie wasn't playing. And if Sinatra was going to get his money in Vegas, he needed that Basie band behind him. Count Basie wasn't with that shit. I can't play? Okay. Oh, I got to come in the kitchen? All right, then find you a band somewhere else. That's what Count Basie was about. He had that true black pride. Count Basie didn't play with these races. He did not play with them. Count Basie got Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday early on in their careers. Lester Young. But that's what we have. That's who we are as a people, man. We don't need sports. Sports over the last 50, 60 years has gotten us off our square. So the way I see it, white society is doing us a favor by gentrifying us out of sports. The best caddies in golf, the caddy was synonymous with black. Jack Nicklaus and all those guys during their prime years in golf, the caddies were all black. And if you know anything about golf, the caddy is the one that's giving the golfer their teammates. They're the ones that suggest the right club to use based on the terrain. It's the caddy that says, okay, no, I think you need a 5-iron right here instead of a wedge. I think you can use a 9-iron to drive this ball instead of a driver. The hole is only 190 yards away. You don't need to drive it. Just use a 9-iron. That's the caddy. Caddy is a very integral, very important part of golf. Black people used to run that. Not anymore. I'm saying that to the people who say they can't gentrify black folks. It won't even be as fun to watch. Let me tell you something. White society has never had any issue with taking losses to prove a point against us. Baseball, see where they messed up by gentrifying black people out. Baseball knows that they can make more money if they invest in more in black neighborhoods, but that's not the plan. That's not the program. The program is, I'm tired of you niggas. We'll take less money to not have your black asses around. They do it in boxing right now. Best fighter in boxing is Errol Spence. He sells the most pay-per-views. He outsold Canelo last year. But they're going to keep pushing to you, Canelo Alvarez. They keep pushing Canelo, and Canelo won't fight nobody. Canelo won't fight Demetrius Andrade. Canelo, he won't fight David Benavidez. Canelo won't fight the Charlo brothers. Canelo keep going around fighting these absolute bums. And boxing is suffering for it. Because boxing's quote-unquote so-called iconic best fighter don't have a heart to fight somebody that can beat them. And the ESPN straight up on their last pound for pound ranking, they didn't even have Jermell Charlo on the top 10 pound for pound. Boxing is turning its back on its best athletes, the black ones. Deontay Wilder. No one gave a fuck about the heavyweight division. Not since Evander Holyfield retired. Then here come Wilder. All they can say is, man, his punches don't look good. But he has the highest knockout percentage in boxing history. Man, that's because he ain't fighting nobody. He's held the belt, the WBC title, longer than any heavyweight in boxing history. He's fighting good fighters. Man, niggas don't see the beauty in Deontay Wilder's ring IQ and his ability to fight because white media hasn't gotten behind Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury cheated. You see his glove in those fights. You see Tyson Fury's glove. He was sliding his glove in and out. Go on YouTube, look it up. To where he would slide his glove when the referee would come touch his gloves. You see, he even moved his hands away from the referee when the referee touched his gloves. Then he slid his hand back further, and he basically was hitting Deontay Wilder with his bare knuckle in his right hand. And Tyson Fury's left glove, he had an egg weight in the glove. How do we know he had an egg weight in the glove? Well, no, he had the egg weight in his right glove, and he was sliding his left. How do we know Tyson Fury had an egg weight in his glove? 2 reasons. One, a former sparring partner of Tyson Fury came out last year and said that he caught in sparring Tyson with loaded glove, with taking the pad out of his gloves and fighting with an egg weight in training and sparring leading up to the Wilder fight. And he left the Fury training camp because of that. And then Deontay Wilder's medical report. When Deontay Wilder went to the hospital after the fight, he had a dent in the side of his head that was not there before the fight. Mind you, while all this is going on, who Tyson Fury is a fighter that never had hand. Like, they never had a hard hand. He never could knock nobody out. Deontay Wilder was fighting a fighter who never could land and hit. How can you go from not being able to knock nobody out to putting a dent in someone's cranium like this? It's from Boxing Ego. I like Boxing Ego's channel. Subscribe to Boxing Ego. He has a dope boxing channel on YouTube. But there's a picture right there. You see the padding out the glove, and you see that dent in Deontay Wilder's skull that was not there before the fight started. Is the white media saying anything about this? No. Because the white media took major issue with a black man talking pro-black shit. Boxing was never cool with that. Boxing was never cool with that. That's not what I want. So yeah, even though black fighters control boxing, they want to talk to you and act as if we don't. And boxing will take the loss in money in order to push an agenda. That's why I say to hell with all these sports. I don't mind watching sports when I have a little bit extra time. I don't mind watching sports when it's, sometimes you got to chill. I'm a sports holic. When the Olympics come out, I'll watch. I like watching sports. But as far as having that hardcore investment in sports, those days are done. And it's time we all move forward from that. They don't want us, and we don't need to be there. They don't want us, and we don't need to be there. Let me say it again. They don't want us, and that's cool. Because we don't need to be there. Oh, this is from my book. Let me get that off the screen. Get my book. Go right now in the link and buy my book. To show you how much I love boxing, check out these pictures. These are my seats when I went. Me, Craig, and Big Ja. We went to that first Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder fight. That's Radio Raheem right there in the middle. This is how much niggas love boxing. This is what they didn't like. They didn't like Deontay Wilder coming down to that ring looking like Mansa Musa and all that gold. Talking all that pro-black shit. These were our seats for the fight. This is how much I fucks with boxing. I love that sport. But yeah, you got to be a real boxing fan to be sitting on a goddamn 17th row. Y'all know how much them tickets cost? Yeah. They played dirty with us. Wayne Peacock said, yeah, you're a 49er fan. Can't get me right. I'm a Laker fan. But I don't give energy to the Lakers like I used to. No. We're in a different time now. Black folks ain't got time for that shit no more. There are more important things for us to be doing right now as a people than focusing on sports. There are more important things for us to be doing as a people. They gentrifying us out of sports. And we need to be, this is one gentrification we should not stop. Let them do it. Because when black people get back to getting on our square, when we get back to being the inventors we are, when we get back to being the mathematicians, the scientists, the engineers, hell, the people of the land, who taught, think about it. Europeans came from Europe where don't shit grow. No resources, no substance. Who taught them how to farm? It wasn't the Mongoloid that they show us as the Indian, because the Mongoloid, the redskin, the person that they always show right now, the light-skinned one with the long hair, they were on the West Coast. White folks started here on the East Coast. Go look up the Algonquin. The Algonquin were dark-skinned, long-haired people. The Algonquin tribes. The Seneca. The Gula, the Geechee. These are the people who taught these motherfuckers how to farm. Who invented, matter of fact, let's break it all the way down. Who invented the Farmer's Almanac? Benjamin Banneker. If Benjamin Banneker didn't come up with the Farmer's Almanac, these white boys still wouldn't be eating it. They would have had to run back to Europe or starve out. We have so much as a people to go back to. That doesn't include sports. We've got so much going for us as a people. Sports is the least of what we got. Sports is the least. Let me say that one more time. Sports is the least of what we got as black people. Don't fight this transition. Don't fight this change. Accept it. Bring it on. Bring it on. Because we have a lot of business to get back to. Salute, Think Tank. Right now, I saw somebody say that Winning Wilder getting back in the ring. Well, the reason why no one's in the ring right now, the reason why you haven't had any fights in the heavyweight division is because Wilder had an automatic. He had a rematch clause. They were supposed to fight again in July, but the Bob Arum pushed it back because of the pandemic. And then they had a fight date set for December 19th for the replay. But Fox pay-per-view backed out of that December 19th date because of college football and because of the college football and the NFL, both the bowl games and NFL games. So Fox said they couldn't do it. So since the network, one was the promoter, the next one was a network. So since that happened, Tyson Fury tried to cheat his way out of that and say that, oh, Deontay Wilder doesn't want to fight me. He's been running, so I'm going to fight someone else. Go and look it up. I'm not going to fight him. I'm going to go ahead and fight Anthony Joshua. So Deontay Wilder filed an arbitration suit, and arbitration is still going on now. And they've been trying to announce a Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight. But the reason why it hasn't been announced is because of the arbitration Deontay Wilder has been going through, stopping the fight from happening, so he can replay that fade with Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury is doing everything he can to run from that fade in the courtroom. That's why no one's fought again. Neither Fury nor Wilder. They haven't fought again because of the legal obligation that Fury has to fight Deontay Wilder. And Deontay Wilder has not taken step aside money. You're right. Boxing was pretty whack. Wilder made it good again. But these networks would rather follow. See, the gypsies are the niggas of Europe. Tyson Fury is a gypsy. They treat the gypsy Europeans in Europe the way they treat black people in America. But you see how white society can forget all that gypsy stuff and forget all that when it comes to standing against a black person? Deontay Wilder represents the United States of America. Tyson Fury is a gypsy from Europe, the underclassman, a thug, who's really close with David Kenner, the biggest drug dealer in Europe. There's a whole documentary on BBC. Look it up. There's a documentary right now on David Kenner. And Kenner's Fury's promoter, manager. And he's the biggest fucking gangster in Europe. And in that documentary, they talk about how Kenner has the money and the access to change outcome of fights because of his access, because of his wealth, and because of his mob connections. American media is ignoring all of that because they can't stand Deontay Wilder's black ass so much. He said everybody has a program pushing STEM to black kids, but only white and Latino parents. Well, yeah. See, this is where black parents got to get on code. Because the black parents say, I don't have enough money to afford a STEM. They'll want someone teaching STEM to go and get a government grant to teach it for free so they can drop $5,000 on their child to play AAU basketball. If you have a kid in AAU basketball for the season between April and July, well, if they're little, the kids season goes year round for the 10-year-olds and stuff. You better have at least $4 or $5 grand to drop. Thank you, Daryl, for buying the book. I appreciate that. you better have at least $4 or $5 to drop on the low end, because you have to buy jerseys, got to pay tournament entry fees, travel, hotels. It's a $5,000 minimum if your kid is on a decent AAU basketball team. And not only the $5,000, you better participate in that barbecue drive or whatever drive they have to raise money. Because if you don't raise money for the team, instead of it costing you $5,000, it's going to cost you $7 or $8. Black folks got the money for that AAU. When I coached basketball, they had the money for that. But they ain't got the money to put your kid in extra tutoring. Your kid is in a 9th grade still struggling with algebra. You don't have the money to get them any advanced education. Your kid's at the 9th grade in algebra. His competition in India is in algebra by the 3rd grade. His competition in Nigeria is in algebra by the 2nd grade. His competition in algebra in China is in algebra by the 4th grade. Your kid's in algebra in the 9th grade, 10th grade. But you got $7,000 for AAU basketball. That's setting your child up for failure. That is setting your child up for failure. Because even if he makes the NBA, this is a scenario I would teach to my kids when I coached. I would never tell them they're not going to make the NBA, because you don't want to stomp on someone's dreams. I would play devil's advocate. Okay, what are you going to do when you make the NBA? You make the NBA between the age of 20 and 22. If you're just average, you'll play 3 seasons and be out. If you're better than average, you'll play 7 to 10 seasons. You'll only play more than 10 seasons if you're if you're borderline great. If you're great or coming up on borderline great, you may play past 10 seasons. But you're lucky if you play 10 seasons in the NBA. Only 2 or 3 players get the top contracts where they can retire on and never worry about money again. Everyone else is only going to get paid enough to get them to the next contract. Yeah, you get a 3-year, $15 million deal. Hell, you might get a 4-year, $70 million deal. Cut off half of that in taxes, agents, fees. You get, and your contract isn't paid off. Here's nothing about NBA contracts. Your first paycheck is on September 15th. You get paid on the 1st and 15th of every month. All the taxes get taken out. You don't get to classify yourself as a business and get write-offs. You're classified as an employee. So those taxes get taken off the top. You get a per diem. The per diem is about $500 a day when you're on the road. After taxes, $255 a day. You paying your mama's bills. Friends now all of a sudden come out of nowhere. Bottle service at the nightclub is going to run you. I remember one time I was at Caesar's Palace Opium nightclub with Baron Davis and those guys about 10 or 15 years ago. We come up to the nightclub, Caesar's Palace Opium. They see 5 dudes. 3 of them in the NBA. They're like, oh, this is money. We didn't get to the club until like 2 in the morning. We were like doing some other shit. We weren't even thinking about going to the club. We get to the club at about 2 a.m., 1 a.m. They see us black people with money. They're like, oh, you have tennis shoes on. Now we see white folks walking around with tennis shoes all through that club. But since we're black with shoestrings, they're like, okay, it's going to cost you $1,000 per shoestring. No, $500 per shoestring. Basically, two shoes on. That's $1,000 a person. And they wanted us to get 4 bottles. And the club closes like at 5. It was basically about to cost us about 10 G's to get in the nightclub that night. The people who run the nightclubs do this because they know you have it. And they know that a lot of these niggas is dumb and they'll pay it. You have lots of expenses. That money you made in the NBA is not going to last you more than 5 or 6 years after you retired, man. So even if you do make it, what are you going to do after? Or become a sportscaster at ESPN? ESPN don't pay former athletes shit. They don't pay them nothing. Stephen A. Smith gets all the money at ESPN. Everyone else gets pennies. The journalists get nice big contracts, but the athletes, they don't get nothing compared to what they were getting paid when they played. And every 3 to 4 years, they cycle the athletes out for newer, more current retired athletes. So even if you make it, you're still going to have a skill set that you can fall back on and make money off of when you're done. They're gentrifying us out of sports. And that's a good thing. Because we don't seem to be getting the message. We don't seem to be getting the message. So since we're not getting the message, they're making the message more clear. Yes, Giannis, you win the MVP. We're going to give you more MVPs than fucking Shaq. Because we want more of your kind here. Because we're tired of niggas like Shaq. Oh shit! Thank you, Clinton, for the Cash App. I appreciate that. Oh shit! I just got another sale for the book. Y'all buying that book? Dope. I appreciate y'all for buying the book. My motivation guidebook, man. I'm telling y'all know I do a lot of shit. I'm a stand-up comedian. I host these podcasts. I'm on other people's podcasts like Craig Facts. I run my company, Breakthrough Advocacy Services, and I'm a professional drummer. I will be in the studio tomorrow laying down my live drum sample packs. For those of you who are producers, I got my sample packs in my link tree. I'm a busy motherfucker, and I'm an author. How do I have time to do all that? How do I get in and be as productive as I am? The secret is in the book. Buy the book now, you'll find out. Matter of fact, buy the course. It's only a 3-hour webinar. The webinar is really only 2 hours. The last hours is questioning and answering. So it's really only 2 hours. And I have additional bonus materials in that webinar, in that package, that gets you more information to help you get through the book a little easier. My methods are I wrote the book. I should have wrote this book 10 years ago. But I was scared. I'm like, ain't nobody gonna listen to me. Funny how fear be fucking with us, man. That's why you can't let fear run your life, people. The mistake we make as black people, and this all ties in, the biggest mistake we make as black people is allowing fear to tell us no. Allowing the fear to stop us from pushing forward with those things our hearts desire. White supremacy has done, when you compare what white supremacy has done to us versus what we do to ourselves in our own mind, it ain't close. Now, yes, white supremacy undergirds the negative thoughts and traumas we have in our minds because they're the ones that put it there based on the images we see. But we still have responsibility. I only talk about white supremacy to point out where the problem is coming from. Once you recognize where the problem is coming from, you then can take it upon yourself to do something about fixing said problem. We don't talk about white supremacy to cry and complain about white supremacy. This isn't a circle jerk about what white people are doing wrong to us. That is not what this show, Hotepish, Intelligent Ish Talk, is about. It's not about complaining about what white people are doing to us. It's about pointing out what they're trying to do so then we can use our minds to counteract whatever they're trying to do with the intelligence that God gave us, that we have. That's what this is about. Somebody said I got a clone. Yeah, I do all that. On top of everything that I told you I do, I still manage 4 apartment buildings. Like y'all told me, I got a vacancy right now. I'm having my phone ringing off the hook. I got 4 apartment buildings of grown-ass people who come to me with some bullshit. Can you tell the person down in Unit C not to play their music so loud? Nigga, you tell them I ain't there. Shit. And I still go on the road as a comedian and as a keynote speaker. What I wrote this book on, my self-motivation guidebook, what I do as a communication consultant, I get paid by corporations to give trainings on proper communication within the workplace. I do that too. I do all that. They tell you weed smokers and fat people are lazy. All right. Match my work, and then maybe I'll listen. But until I find somebody that don't smoke weed, weigh 120 pounds, that can match my grind, I don't listen to shit these people say. You cannot judge a book by its cover. Going back to how we started this show, the 3-piece suit, the 4-piece suit, is the uniform of deception. But the common word is the 3-piece suit is what makes people look clean and professional. When fact is, if you're going to get gangstered out of something, it's probably going to happen by a dude in a 3-piece suit, not by somebody wearing Jordans. The biggest gangsters wear Brook Brothers, not Adidas. I promise you that. It's not about what you see. It's not about what other people say about you. It's about what you believe in yourself. And using that self-internal belief to push forward with your true heart's desires. Which is also why I started this program saying if you want sports and athletes to have their own sports program, you have to be the one to create it. Because you can do it. When black people get a mindset of doing the things and getting about and doing the work that needs to be done and not waiting on someone else to do it, we're going to be fine. But as long as we care more about sports than we do our society, we're going to be messed up. As long as we're waiting on athletes to speak up and say the things we know we should be saying, we're going to mess up. The beautiful thing is, I see the sunlight on the horizon. Black people are waking up. I say this all the time because I'm so encouraged. You guys here in this chat room, you are the change. Those of you listening live and listening later, you are the change we need. Because you're investing your time getting information that you're going to use and take back with you in life and apply that information to help you grow. You're the change. You're what black people have been waiting on. And the few people who are left stuck in sports, being athletes, they will follow along. Most of the world follows. Very few leaders. The people listening are the leaders. Let me give you some words of wisdom, people. Don't get discouraged by those people who aren't on your level mentally. We all wake up in our own time. Don't get discouraged by people who are still doing a bunch of dumb shit. Everybody ain't gonna wake up. You just make sure you stay woke. You just make sure that you pass along the information to those people who are willing to listen. You be that change. You be it. And that's what the people here are doing. The people here in the chat room are being the change that they seek. Which means you are the freedom. The revolution will not be televised. Why won't the revolution be televised? Because the revolution happens in your mind. And the minds of the people are being revolutionized right now. That doesn't happen on TV. But we see the effects. Benjamin says people want Dwan versus Craig 1-on-1 on the basketball court. Hell no. I am retired from basketball. 2 knee surgeries. I'm good. I might catch a game of 21 or something like that. But hell no. I am retired from basketball. Retired. I may coach again one day, but I ain't playing no more. I kind of miss coaching basketball because these same lessons I'm giving you now, I would give my kids. Basketball was always a life teaching tool for me when I coached. When I would coach when it's time to be the man and when it's time to step back and just set the screens and hit the jump shots. Sports is a perfect platform to coach the game of life because sports is a simulation of life. Simulation of life. I said simulation. It's a simulation of life. I do kind of miss reaching the kids through sports. But y'all know my schedule. My schedule too goddamn crazy to coach sports. AAU ball, that's all day Saturday and Sunday. I mean, I used to coach, I would coach sometimes 6 or 7 games a day on Saturday and Sunday because the team that I coached for had different teams from the ages of 7 on up to 17. We had like 8 different squads. And so I would coach different squads. That's just a commitment to coach. Commitment that I don't have time for right now. He said play Doughboy. Doughboy ain't athletic. that would be super easy playing Doughboy. Y'all see that nigga legs? I've never seen Brandon play, so I don't know if Brandon Craig. I know Craig's a baller, but I know Brandon was a baller, but I've never seen Brandon play. I would like to actually see that matchup between Craig and Brandon on the basketball court. But I'm about to get up out of here. I got a client. To get to. I have an 8-year-old that's doing some struggling in school a little bit, so I got to help him out with a little bit of his behavior and speak to the teacher. Because y'all know I still do IEP help. I help children with IEP, special education, get more from the school system than the school system is willing to give them. So yeah, I still work with children also, even though the reason why I don't talk too much about working with children is because I'm trying to transition out of that and work more with adults and families. But I am still open to working with children. And I have like 4 child clients right now. And I meet with them sometime in person, sometime through Skype. Luckily, today's session's on Skype. Brent said that Doughboy getting spotted 20 points in the game 21. Brent was cold for that. I'm supposed to be doing Brent's show tonight after Craig Facts. I'm gonna hit him up and see if we still doing it. But I'm supposed to be interviewing on Brent's show after Craig Facts tonight. He said like at 9:30 tonight. So y'all see my schedule. I'm up with you niggas now. I'm about to go meet with one of my private clients. Then I'm going to get back and get some stuff done on my website. I'm working on my website right now. Then I'll be doing Craig Facts. Then after Craig Facts, I have maybe an hour or two to myself. Then I'll be doing Brent's show tonight. I'll probably be home from Brent's show at about midnight. And then tomorrow I'll be at the music studio bright and early 9 a.m. on my drums. I'm going to be on the drums tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Shit. I got a long recording session tomorrow. But y'all going to like them sample pack beats. Thursday morning, I'm going to try to get back to you guys on Thursday morning. I would like to talk to y'all Thursday morning. I can't guarantee it because I have a lot of business to take care of with my company. But I would love to talk to y'all Thursday morning. And then Thursday afternoon, I'll be back on Craig Facts. And then Friday, I have 9 showings set up so far for my vacant apartment unit. My first showing is at 9 a.m. I got 9 showings scheduled so far between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Friday. And then after my 2 p.m. showing, I have another webinar I'm putting together for next month on communicating with your family. Let me know. I'm going to put a survey up what my next webinar is going to be. It's either going to be on communicating difficult situations with family. I don't know yet. But I'm going to have another webinar coming in June where I really break things down to y'all on communication. I do that stuff through webinar because when my company Breakthrough Advocacy Services, I told you I charge $175 an hour for this stuff. So my webinar is only $30 because I get the information to all of you guys without people having to pay the full $175. Now, if you want greater detail, then you can go ahead and run that. But I have the webinar coming up, and I'm getting ready to get on Patreon also. And the people on Patreon, they're going to get exclusive content. I'm going to have 2 tiers on the Patreon. One tier is going to include all webinars, future and past. The other one, in the lower tier, is going to include the live Q&As you can have with me. If you don't can't afford to have my services with my communication services with your family, those Patreon members are going to be able to ask me these questions twice a month through a Q&A. That's what I'm going to have exclusive to my Patreon members, and I'm also going to have 10% off all of my merchandise and apparel. And for those who do want my services to come in and help with your family communication, I will be giving 30% discounts to all Patreon members or people who buy the webinar. If you buy the webinar or if you're a member of the Patreon, you will get 30% off my services. So all that stuff is coming. Yes, I have to charge people. Like, what are you charging? Look, I give a lot of content for free. But as you see, I'm a very busy man. Certain stuff, hey, I got to make my money or I'm not interested in it because I have a lot of things that I do. But I do want to make myself available to more people. And life is about time management. You're right about that. Hey, yeah, I be doing them Q&As late because that's when I be in my garage winding down, smoking my joint. And that's why them Q&As be so late. I do the Q&As and I'm getting high. And instead of listening to music, I join you motherfuckers to see what y'all talking about. Y'all be asking some good questions. In my normal broadcast like this, I be focused on what I got to say so I don't answer as many questions in this broadcast. But on my live Q&A, I'm paying more attention to what's going on in the chat room. And I'm asking people. Yeah, but I'm about to get up out of here because, like I said, I'm a little late. I told my client I'm gonna call him at 12. I don't like being late. And thank you guys for joining the webinar again. Y'all see how I get down on my webinar. I'm very professional. My webinar started at 1 o'clock on the dot. It ended at 4 p.m. on the dot. I respect people's time. But in that time that I'm doing the webinar, I'm giving you all that I have. And I'm answering every question that I can answer. And then I respect your time and I end on time because I understand that you guys have things to do. Thank you for everyone who left me a Yelp review and a Google review. on the webinar. I got some dope reviews on my webinar on both Google. I want to thank y'all. I want to thank y'all for that, because it means a whole lot as far as the long-term success of my business, that the people that benefit from what I do, that you share and let other people know, because oftentimes people are hesitant to buy things and to move forward on things just because, not because they think you wrong or nothing like that, just they're skeptical. So when I have reviews like this, it means a whole lot to me. I appreciate it. And for those of you who do read the book and join the webinar, I encourage you to go on Yelp and Google to leave a review on my company. One review was, Dwan made me feel like we were having a private conversation amongst friends. I appreciate that review. Life-changing information is what people found out in that webinar. Y'all think I go deep in these normal chats? I go way deeper in the webinar. So I appreciate everybody who joined the webinar. And shouts out to everybody who watched Craig Facts. I love that show. I'm about to get out of here and talk to my client, and then I will see y'all on Craig Facts. But remember this, there are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those who are willing to pick up game. Buy the book, buy the t-shirts, and live your life, because you are dope. If you're listening to this shit, if you're alive, if you're breathing, no matter how down you may be feeling about yourself in this moment, understand the downside is only temporary. You are dope. You're a dope person. You're a great person. You're a winner. And the reason why the system has to keep reminding you and sending you all these negative images is to get you off your square from being the winner that you are. Don't let them do that. And look past the surface level. Get to the substance of what's going on. My name is Dwan B. We out.